Right. Welcome, Stuart, to the UK Flooring Podcast. First of all, who are you on a personal level, not business? And then we're going to dig into Make an Entrance.
For sure. So thank you very much for inviting me on the podcast. As you say, my name is Stuart Burlton. I'm the managing director and founder of Make an Entrance. We are a manufacturer and retailer of entrance matting in the UK, and specifically bespoke entrance matting and logo mats for companies. That's on the B2B side. And on the B2C side for people's homes. So that's what the company does. And in particular,
From school, Stuart, what happened? Give me your life story in a few short paragraphs.
So, in a few short paragraphs, I moved from being a concert level flautist, which a lot of people don't know about, when I was much younger. So, I was a musician, and then after I went to university, and I moved into the motor industry. So I worked for manufacturers like Toyota and Ford and Mark. My main skill was going into a franchise dealerships who are in financial trouble and then turning them around to making them profitable again. So that's the main thing I did. And then around the early 2000s, I decided to become self-employed. And that's really with my wife, Samantha, because my wife, Sam, was a entrepreneur and she wanted to start up a company herself because she worked in telecoms. She decided to start up a company called So Organic. And I joined her with that, and that launched in 2005. That was an online department store for natural and organic products. And it was in the very early stages of the internet. So we did that, and we developed that from 2005 to 2010, from working out of our spare room, just sending a few orders of natural and organic skincare products out to customers in the UK, through to 2010 to becoming the largest online company in the UK for organic non-food products. So over 5 years, we scaled it really, really quickly. How did Make an Entrance come into that? Well, we exited that company around the 2012-13 period, and we were looking for something else to do, our next venture. And we had the name already, makeanentrance.com, which we bought back in 2005 for another business venture we were considering, but we didn't launch. And we started that once again and relaunched Make an Entrance in around 2014-15, along with another website called Koya Mats, to focus on selling Koya and coconut entrance matting, bespoke entrance matting to customers in the UK, using the same business model as we did with So Organic business. And we started that with the entrance matting and flooring industry. And that was around, 2014-15. We launched that. A specific niche being Koya and coconuts matting, especially with traditional heritage style craft matting that using the same skills that have been used for over 200 years, making traditional Koya mats, hand stitched, using traditional skills in our workshops, a craft that was about to die out altogether. So that's what we specialised in particular. So we sort of had a family history in that. So yes.
I was going to say, where did that initial light bulb going from skincare to hang on, let's start selling mats? Where? Obviously, there's the let's say sustainable sort of natural side of Koya, maybe, but can you remember where that light bulb was?
I can indeed. In fact, we have to look back into our family history, and it actually goes back to my father, Alan. So to give you a potted history of that and how it comes up in our family, my father in the late in 1980s and through to mid 1990s, he used to run workshops in the UK for the Royal School for the Blind called RSB. Those workshops just employ partially sighted and blind people in proper businesses producing things, and they used to produce traditional hand-stitched Koya matting for the likes of National Trust and English Heritage, hand-stitching mats, using the same techniques that have been used for hundreds of years. So they were very successful. There were over 40 factories in the UK, employing over 100 people each, and they're all partially sighted and blind people doing it. So, but it was a proper business. And in essence, it got disabled people out from just sitting at home and doing nothing into an environment where they had a self-confidence and a self-worth in their life. So that's where the company. My dad in around the late 1990s, all those blind workshops around the UK, they had to close down, and that was due to it wasn't to do with a collapse in the demand for it, but literally the business model collapsed because the wages for the partially sighted people were half paid by the charities, half paid by the government, but government funding was withdrawn for political reasons, and it's fine. All the workshops closed. So my dad continued to sell these traditional hand stitched mats with one very tiny workshop that was left making them down in Suffolk of 3 or 4 people. In the early 2000s, my dad was just selling these to his regular customers, and that's what he did. So that's really where the traditional side came in. Now, my dad was using this thing called a fax machine, which you are way too young to realise.
I remember the fax machine. Just.
And so the internet really didn't exist in those days. So myself and my wife Sam in early 2000s bought makeenentrance.com for my dad just to start up a little website for selling these mats. So wind forward to the mid sort of 2014, 15, my dad decided to retire altogether. Me and my wife Sam took that on with our business partner Chris, and we rebooted Making Entrance with the other website, coyermats.co.uk, to retail these traditional mats using this small workshop down in Suffolk. But then, we decided in 2019 to switch from a really great online business model to become a manufacturer. So, which a lot of people don't do, but we started to make Matt switch from late 2000 to 2019, 2020. Yeah.
So fast forward now, what's the size of the business? Where is it? Like, how many people are working? What's a Thursday afternoon look like at Making Entrance?
We've changed quite dramatically because if you look at from 2018 to 2020 in particular, 2018, we were just retailing mats. We were just an online company retailing entrance mats. Other people used to manufacture it. We decided to go into manufacturing. So 2020, we became a manufacturer, brought everything in-house that we actually do, including most traditional mats, which we're now the only company in the UK to be producing them. So you look at us today in 2026, as it is now, just about. We are a fast-growing manufacturing company, manufacturing all our own products, and in particular the Koya logo mats and the traditional hand-stitched mats. And it's a combination of us in our workshops making these and retailing them to our own customers, and also wholesaling to other people that might sell them on our behalf. And we always welcome people approaching us on that, of course.
So the USP, is it the logo side of it? Is that the USP?
The only company in the UK that actually produces their own logo mats, in specifically the Koya logo matting that might go into the entrances of the likes of, as an example, our customers include Wetherspoons, Waterstones, Prezzo restaurants. So they go into the entrances of them. We are one of only 3 manufacturers in the UK for those Koya logo mats. And the traditional mats in particular, we've sort of gone full circle because my dad, back in the 1980s and 90s, of course, he was running factories for people that were essentially economically inactive. We've gone full circle because we're actually now in partnership with the HM Prison Service. So we actually have workshops now in prisons in Lincolnshire behind the walls. And it's for prisoners to actually work on some of our products, and they get proper pay for it, and they gives them a self-confidence, a self-worth, and obviously something on their CV when they actually come out. Because one of the biggest endemic problems we have in the UK is are people committing crimes once again. So that cycle of crimes being committed again when people actually come out of prison, which we need to break that. And they do that because they don't have a self-confidence, self-worth, and an ability and a CV to say to employers, I can do a honest, good day's job out there. And that's what we give them through and facilitate them through our workshops behind prison walls to break that cycle of reoffending out there. So we have 2 sides really to us now, not just obviously the pure business side, but that big social responsibility element we have as well with breaking that cycle of reoffending.
No, well, I can feel that obviously the pain. As we discussed before the podcast went on, I spent 8 days in a 3x3 room on my own, with visiting times, with lunches coming in Darlington Hospital. That's another story. But the point I'm making is, if you were doing a 6-month, a 6-year stretch or whatever, I can't like you're focused on the environment that you're in. So for someone just to go, right, you're out, like you've got so much, especially if I'm talking hours in 8 days. If someone was in 8 years to try and go straight back into work, it'd be difficult for anyone. So
It is a real problem in the UK, and we do have that sense. And don't get me wrong, there are bad people out there that won't change. But there's also a huge element of people in prison that are in there because they haven't had the role models growing up like we actually have, that have fallen into addiction problems, sort of course, their criminal offending to actually happen in the first place. When they come out, they've had enough and they just want to have what we call a normal life and contribute to society. But when they come out and they're only given a few pounds and then said, go and find somewhere to live, there is no social, there's no, uh, s- I suppose what I'm trying to say is we don't help them when they come out.
no.
And we need to give them that self-control and that chance. And it's about second chances. And it's very easy for us to say that we put people in prison and they've learned their lessons. But in the end, when they come out, we can break that cycle of reoffending with them and give them a self-confidence and give them a self-worth and a little money so they can contribute to society. What do we want in the future? Do we want less crime? Or do we want to continue what we're doing where there isn't so much support for people coming out? And it's quite right. You say you've had the experience recently, obviously not in the criminal sense, but in terms of health. This time, exactly. In terms of health and things like that, it's difficult when you're isolated in a way and you come back out. Psychologically for mental health, it's hard. And we want to give people second chances. That's what we're about. That's what our family history is about. So anything we can do, we're growing our company where we can have that partnership to give other people a chance, as well as not purely be a profit-driven company, is something that's really passionate to us and everybody within our company. That's our raison d'etre.
No, I love that. I love that. So a lot of the listeners are retailers, contractors, flooring professionals. So obviously, one piece I could see that is, a welcome mat in a flooring shop would be a very valuable thing to have. But obviously, it's a one-time purchase. Do you have mats that maybe say, hello or welcome, or just a very standardized mats that people could buy in bulk, or what's the range look like, or is the real thing just logo got, and because you've obviously got to have a lot of those to do any form of like 20 Weatherspoons would be a good order, I'd imagine. But people that maybe listen to this would have one mat in their store, but have you got something that they can buy in addition to that? And then maybe promote that to their customer as well, because they're doing rugby clubs or they're doing other stuff themselves. So where's the value to our audience?
If you look out there, any flooring shop, any flooring contractor, they're going to have people that come in that will have an entrance mat in whoever they are supplying, whether it's themselves or the customers they actually fulfill orders for. We're a one-stop shop, and we actually have people at the end of the phone. And because we manufacture things ourselves, people can have the trust that in terms of logo mats that specifically would go into a mat well with no wastage. If there's a difficult entrance where people don't know what to do with, again, that's what we specialize in. We can do ones, we can do numbers, we can do contracts. If people have a contract with a chain of hotels or a chain of stores, we can be that quite easy add-on to what people and the contractors would actually be putting into there to fulfill those entrance matting there, because everybody will need one. But a lot of time people don't actually know where to go. And to us, you're coming to the manufacturer. And that's important because we won't let you down. We understand what you're looking for and the quality you're looking for. So any type of entrance matching, would be a logo inset into a mat well, or sitting on a floor, or just plain matting, come to us and we can actually supply exactly what you need.
I think it'd be a great addition for doing commercial jobs, or even a really interesting residential job, like a high-end residential. Everyone can just offer a coir mat. So do you want a mat at the door? Because that would be a professional thing to do. But if you're doing something that's a bit, with a house name or something like that, I think that's massive. You've got a beautiful herringbone or chevron floor, and then you could have, I don't know,
That's the thing I'd appeal to people for, actually. If people or contractors, if they're dealing with people's homes, because we have a B2C side, our traditional coir mats that we make that have no PVC backing, that we make them to specific sizes, hand stitching the edging the same way it's been made for generations. These mats actually were the ones which went into all Victorian, Edwardian, and Georgian houses in the past. So anybody that is dealing with any type of customer like that, it is exactly that type of mat, and it's a high-end luxury product that will go into those and used to go into those houses. And that's one of the things, is because we are the only people in the UK that actually manufacture these mats to the sizes and thicknesses that these houses used to have. Part of what we need to do is go out and tell people out there that have these homes, we are the original. We are the original mats you used to have, and they are still made in the UK, and we can actually survive them for you. Because you have to remember, back in the 80s and 90s, these mats used to be produced for homes all around the UK, and supply collapsed just because it wasn't the demand, it was the supply. So people had to go off and look at other things elsewhere for the traditional homes. But Victorian, Georgian, and Edwardian homes, we produce those very specific hand-stitched coir mats made to the size and thicknesses of the really deep mat wells that these homes have. So it appeals to people out there. If there is an appeal to be made, if you have anybody with those homes, we do the original.
I love that. Love that. And as we've just come into early January, you've had a little bit of time over Christmas to, spend time with family and things. But like most business owners, we make a little bit of a battle plan of, what we want from 2026. Make an entrance 2026. What are your sort of non-negotiables that are going to happen this year?
I think our non-negotiables are ramping up our production, really. Ramping up our manufacturing and our production here in Lincoln, sleepy old Lincoln in Lincolnshire, so we can actually produce more of the products which we're proud of. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, we're opening up more workshops in prisons around Lincolnshire, and we want to get those up and running on our social responsibility side to really help those people. So that's our plan on both sides. And then, you know what? Going out and telling people about what we actually do. That's really what we want to do, because we haven't been great, to be frank. As you know, we've talked about this before in terms of our PR, what we do. We haven't been great at out and telling people about it, and we'd like to tell more and more people about what we do as a shining example, what UK manufacturing can actually provide. That's what we want to do, because we're only been a manufacturer for 5-6 years, remember. That's all, and we're growing really quickly through that. So I think that's what we want to go and tell people. And that's our goal for this year, is just go and tell people who we are and what we actually do. And I think that's important. And one day I'd like to have some type of award ceremony for traditional UK manufacturing. And now, if we were looking for someone to run the awards a ceremony or something like that, I'll come to somebody like you, because I feel that
you did help you with that.
I've heard you did a fantastic job with National Flooring Show, in terms of the National Flooring Awards, I should say. And I did a fab job with that. So all credit to you on what you pulled off with that as well.
I appreciate it. We will have next year, this year, manufacturer of the year. So it doesn't matter if you're manufacturing wood, LVT, matting. If it's the flooring industry, it's on the floor. Everyone is very welcome. So, with you working in the flooring industry, and it would be unfair to say that you are in a different category, which you're not, because it still goes on the floor, but you're not putting flooring down. You are an entrance mat. But from your point of view, what is the biggest issue currently with the flooring industry as a whole? From you looking at what else is going on.
I think it's actually not so much. We can spread that out from flooring to actually, in terms of a UK business in general. And I think the biggest issues that we have in the UK looking ahead this year are the battles we have with government trying to put extra responsibilities and costs into our business, whether it be as a business owner, whether it be in terms of increases in terms of national insurance, business national insurance we have to actually pay, whichever angle it is, changes in terms of business rates. And there seems to be more and more financial pressures even before you open the doors for companies. And yes, large companies are affected by it, but you know what? Small companies and small businesses in particular are more affected because the margins are thinner. And as a business owner, you work hard and harder and harder just to stand still with your finances. I think that's the biggest challenge, not just for the flooring industry, not just for flooring shops, not just for flooring contractors or self-employed people in the flooring industry, but for business in general. I think small business should be appreciated by government, and the pressure is actually reduced, not increased on us. We need a help. It's going to be a tough year out there, and I think we don't. We need more help and less hindrance from the people above us. Should I say? That's my
Absolutely.
view.
I love that. What entrance mat do you currently have fitted to your house?
I looked last night and I should embarrassingly say I need to get one. I have a very old frayed textile carpet mat, and I looked at that and thought, oh my God, we produce such fantastic product. Why on earth have I just still putting up with this one here? Pure laziness on my side. So, if I may say, I need a very nice traditional hand stitched mat to go outside. What I have, which is a Georgian house, that'll match very nicely. Yeah.
I think that's
And what
very
do you have?
cool.
What do you have, by the way?
Well, at the moment, I have what I got given with the house because we're going to build an extension, and part of that extension is like an entrance porch.
Yeah.
So we will have matting in the entrance porch, but at the moment, I've got terrible cream carpet that's sat in the old porch. It's getting knocked down, and white laminate that we acquired with the house that's literally falling apart. That you can kick apart, but we can't touch that side of the house until the bricks and the roof is on the other side. So yeah, but I will definitely be having
You know where to come, don't you, if you need decent entrance matting? Like,
absolute. Well, we have got one coming for our office here in Darlington, so we know that. So I've took care of that because this building's finished. So what is the worst and best bit of advice, either or both, you've received in business as a whole? If you can remember, and who was it from?
um, the worst piece of advice the worst piece of advice I ever had goes with the best piece of advice I ever had. The worst piece of advice was when I was about 21 years old. I was being taught how to about numbers and accounts and things like that. And I had somebody that really didn't know about accounts that well said, "Don't worry about your numbers; they'll sort themselves out later." Bad piece of advice, because the best piece of advice I had was a few years later when I had a small business owner come to me who's also an accountant, said, "Know your numbers." If you don't know what a P&L is, it is not cash flow. Cash flow is not what money you have in the bank. A cash flow is a specific document. You know what you need to pay out in the future. Know your balance sheet, P&L, and cash flow. That's the best piece of advice. And when I do business mentoring for small businesses, that's what I tell them. First of all, do you know your numbers? If you know your numbers, you know you're three-quarters of the way there.
Love that. Love that. If I gave you 5,000 quid today, now it's 10:30, and you had to spend it on something within the business, all of it by 5 o'clock tonight, what are you spending 5 grand on?
Oh, good Lord, £5,000. Um, I would. Do you know what? I'd probably buy the most sophisticated Stanley knives and equipment for our guys and girls in the workshop. And in particular, I'd buy them new thermals because our workshop heating isn't the best. They're cold. We're recording this on the 7th of January. There's snow outside. They're a bit chilly. So I would get the best gold plated thermals I can because they all deserve it.
Some expensive thermals. Yeah, well, the knives won't be cheap, so we'll let you have that.
They clearly come from Newcastle, only the best.
And what is your least favourite part of your role as MD?
My least favorite part, the least favorite part and the most difficult part is stopping thinking about the business because I think about it all the time. I'll wake up and think about it. I'll go to bed thinking about it, and trying to switch off is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's my least favorite part of it is that I think about all the time.
Are you able to do a no phone holiday? Have you ever done one?
Yes, I did a no phone holiday when I was about 25 years old because I'm older than you, and the phones didn't work around. So does that count? Other from that, I can't.
Probably not, I'm afraid. It's I could reframe the question. Have you recently done a non-phone holiday?
I haven't, and I've tried my best, but in the end, after about 2 or 3 days, I can't stay away. So it's a difficult one. It is work in progress.
The number one easiest way to do it is leave your phone plugged in on your kitchen side with all the responders on. If you haven't got it with you, you can't take it with you. And if someone in the family needs to get over you, tell them to phone your other half.
I would try and learn by your experience. I bow down.
What is your proudest moment in business?
I think last year actually was the proudest moment. I won the Lincolnshire Business Person of the Year award, and that was for our social responsibility for what we do with the prison service. I think that, to be honest, was my proudest moment because it didn't just reflect on me; it reflected on everybody in the Make an Entrance team. Full stop, because it's a massive team effort, and on the prison service as well, and all the prisoners we have actually and that we're helping. I think that was my proudest moment, to know that there's external recognition for what we're doing.
Love that. Love that. How do you start your day to get the best out of you and give back to your team? You know, is there a certain regime that you need to do that's non-negotiable on a morning to turn up at work? You know, the best version of Stuart.
Yes, I mean that's um the detailed answer to that is coffee, um, coffee, more coffee, and a lot more coffee. So if I haven't had 4 cups of coffee before 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm stuffed.
Love that.
Love that.
Very good. And two last questions. This is a big one, this, Stu. You're gonna probably have to think about this. What is currently holding you back?
Ooh, that's a very, very good question.
Strong question.
Uh, question. Currently holding us back is in terms of us. It's our speed of being able to grow. We are growing really quickly. We're having to slow that down because we don't want to fall over as a company. We want to do things well. And what's currently holding us back is our processes. And we're actually going through a process re-engineering program within our workshop. So we need to get our processes right. Once we've done that, then we can do things like get an IT assistant, some machinery, and to actually help us out with some of the things we do. So holding us back, time is just us having the time to be able to just not think about the day-to-day activities so much, but also think about the process re-engineering side and getting our processes right in our company. That holds us back. Yeah.
Love that. And then the next one is, what question do you wish I'd asked, or should I ask the next guest on the podcast?
I think you should ask the next guest what they know about Lincoln City Football Club, the Imps. There you go. Because we're a Lincoln City season ticket holder city of people, and we are currently sitting second in Division 1, and we absolutely love it. And that's what we actually spend our time relaxing about. And we're very proud of the team, of the best they've been doing for about 20 years. And ask your next guest what they know about Lincoln City Football Club. But in all seriousness, probably just ask them if they know their numbers. Because if they know their numbers, then they're going to be good. But you've picked good guests anyway, so what can I say?
Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. Where can what's a really good way of reaching out to you, Stuart? If someone really wants to know about them, the bespoke mats and all mats, how can that happen? Where you're lurking on socials and things like that?
You can get hold of us at makeanentrance.com. So email address we have is business@makeanentrance.com. So come through to us on that address. Put my name actually on it as well if you want, Stuart with the UA, and it will come through to me in the end. We have a great team here that pass things on, so please do feel free to contact us. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brothers.
Well, you can find us on Instagram. You find me on LinkedIn, and you can find us on all the other usual social media platforms. So just type in "Make an Entrance."
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you for being this year's first guest. Brilliant podcast. Thank you very much. Really interesting.
And I owed you as good as a host. So well done. Thanks very much.
Thank you.